Hey guys, so today we have a Frankenstein monster inspired collaboration with my friend BloodshedBeauty.x here on YouTube, and I will have all of her social media information and links down in the description, so please be sure to check her out. She's super sweet and super talented, and I'll have her video linked down below as well. But yeah guys, I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. As always, I'm starting out with an eyeshadow primer, just applying that all over the lid as well as under the eyes, and now I'm going in with Kat Von D's Vanish, and I'm just using this as sort of a transition slash base shade, so we have a nice blending base for the rest of our eyeshadows. Next up, I'm going in with Flustered from NYX, and using my Sigma E36, you guys know I'm obsessed with this brush. I'm starting by applying that to the outer corners and then blending that up into the crease and onto the rest of the lid except for the very inner corner. I'm going to continue blending this up above the crease and up into that inner part of the brow, keeping it super soft and smoky. Then to continue building up the color, I'm going in with Addiction, also from NYX. It's just slightly darker, and I'm concentrating this at the outer corner, but I'm blending it slightly up into the crease as well as onto the lid. The next shade we have is Maneater. This one is also from NYX, and I'm applying this all over the lid where we applied Flustered, our first shade, and I am keeping that away from the outer corners where we just applied Addiction, but slightly blending it out into that. I'm then applying Wrath from Kat Von D. It's this beautiful orange shade that I'm also obsessed with, and I'm just blending that around the edges of the eyeshadow. I thought this was the perfect touch, and I'm just obsessed with this eyeshadow, and yeah, so I'm just blending that around the edges, and I'm also kind of taking this into a soft wing shape. And then to deepen that outer corner a little bit more, I'm taking a dark brown shadow. This one is Shadow Box from Kat Von D, and I'm just concentrating that in the outer V of the eye. Then to highlight the brow bone, I'm using Telepathy from Kat Von D. I'm applying this under the brow with a smaller eyeshadow brush and then just gently blending that into the other shadow. Then for my base, I decided to go for a gray, so this is the gray cream color from Ben Nye, but you could also use a water activated paint for this. I personally sometimes like to use the cream colors because I feel like they blend a bit better and I can get a more even coverage. You do have to set these though, or they will move around and crease, and they can be a bit more of a hassle to remove, which I don't really mind, and they could be a little bit more prone to breaking you out, so if you have sensitive skin, just do a little test patch before going all in. As you can see, I've pretty much applied this everywhere except for the lips. You can also apply this down your arms and onto your hands if need be for your costume. But now I am applying a white powder. This is the Ben Nye Super White Powder, and I'm just applying this all over. If you don't set this cream makeup, it will move around and crease and transfer onto everything, so just be sure to powder everything. Now to contour, I'm going in with this gray eyeshadow, which is Craving from NYX, and I'm using the e.l.f. blush brush, which is a small angled blush brush, and it fits perfectly into my contours, so I love this one. It's super cheap and it works great for me. So I'm contouring under my cheekbones, and I'm also blending this back onto my ears and up onto the temples, and I'm going to contour my nose just a little bit as well. So I'm taking that from the inner part of the brow and blending that down along the sides of the nose. I did thin it out just a little bit as well as straighten it, and I also wanted to give myself just a slight button nose, so I'm contouring above the tip of my nose as well as below, and then adding a highlight to the bridge of my nose and the tip. And then my features are pretty prominent down on my neck and my collarbone, but I am adding a little bit of that contour just to deepen it slightly. And I'm also contouring along the jawline and under the chin. For the highlight, I'm using NYX's Illuminator in the shade Ritualistic, and I'm applying this to the top of the cheekbones, to the tip and the bridge of the nose, up onto the center of the forehead, as well as the sides of the forehead a little bit, just anywhere that you want to pop out. So now that we've applied our base color all over, I'm going to go back in and blend out the edges of the eyeshadow if needed, and then highlight the inner corners using that same NYX Illuminator. Moving on to the brows, I'm using the Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Ebony, and I decided to go for a pretty sharp, bold brow, so I'm filling them in as well as lengthening and thickening them just a little bit. I'm then applying a black eyeshadow to the tail of the brow and gradually blending that in. For the lower lash line, I decided to go back to Shadow Box, which is that brown shade that we used earlier, and I'm just applying that to about the outer 2/3 of the eye. Now we're just going to curl our lashes and apply some eyeliner, and this one is the NYX Gel Pencil Liner, which I don't know why I haven't used this before, but I kind of really love it. It goes on super creamy and smudges out really well, but it has awesome staying power. So I've tight lined my eyes with this as well as smudged it along the top lash line into just a soft wing. And here I forgot to set under the eyes, so I'm going back in with a little bit of that super white powder just to prevent any creasing. Now I'm applying a little bit of black mascara to my top lashes and then decided I wanted to black out my lower lash line as well, so I'm applying that black liner to my lower waterline and smudging that down onto Shadow Box. I didn't line all the way into the inner corner, but I am going to use my brush to just very carefully blend that toward the tear duct. I'm then applying the mascara to my lower lashes. Then for lashes, I've stacked the NYX Wicked Lashes in Scandal and Sinful. And here's a little side-by-side before and after lashes. And now for the super fun stuff. I'm using a red body paint with this random paintbrush from the craft store. I think it's a flat number 4 brush. And I'm using this to paint on all the separations in the skin where we want to be stitched up. You guys can use any placement that you want to. I decided to go along the jawline and up to the ears, as well as down the very center of my neck, down onto my chest, then also kind of around the joints of the shoulders. You can make these lines as straight or as jagged as you would like, as well as varying in thickness as you see fit depending on the look that you want to go for. I'm also lining just inside my hairline, leaving enough space to draw on the stitches later, and then I'm also adding a little bit around the ears. And now we're just going to start adding a little bit of texture and dimension inside the separation. So I'm applying a black eyeshadow kind of unevenly along these red lines. So like I said, I am applying this unevenly, but I am blending it onto all the parts of the red just to overall darken it. At this point, I decided to go in with a couple layers of Ben Nye Final Seal over the entire look. This is really going to help it last for hours, but mainly I did this to help set the red body paint so that we go in with a white stitching. We don't get red everywhere. So this part I really should have done it before the final seal, just because everything is so set that it's hard for the eyeshadows to blend out nicely, but it still worked out okay. So I'm taking a black eyeshadow and I've rubbed the majority of it off on my hand just so we have a little bit of a softer shadow, and I'm applying this around the red, and I'm leaving a little bit of space in between the red and the shading, and that will make it look like the skin is a little bit raised. So now I'm attempting to blend out those lines just a little bit using the gray eyeshadow that we used for the contour, but like I said, the final seal set everything just oh so nicely, so the shadows were hard to blend out. Then I'm using a white body paint on my Sigma 05 Liner brush to create all the stitching. And this part is totally up to preference as well. You can do however many stitches you would like, however far apart or close, crisscrossed, but I do recommend giving them a slight curve so we can do some shading to make them look a little more dimensional. Moving on to the lips for just a minute, I'm lining and filling in my lips using a brown lip liner from NYX. I'm not sure the exact shade, but I'll leave it down in the description. I then sharpened my pencil so that I could get nice sharp points at the corners of the mouth. Then once I have my lips filled in, I'm going in with a burgundy lipstick. This is a NYX Butter lipstick, and I can't remember the shade of this one either, but it will be down below. And I am focusing this on the center part of the mouth just to give a little bit of an ombre effect. Going back to the stitches, we're going to start doing some of the shading, focusing around each of the ends of the stitches, and this is going to help give the illusion that they're actually going into the skin. Then I'm also doing a little bit of shading under each of the curves, just to give a little bit of shadow underneath the stitch. I'm then adding in a little curved line on each of the stitches. I'm applying these near the top of each stitch, and the direction of the curve will depend on the direction of the curve of the stitch, if that makes sense. I'm also defining each of the separate stitches in all of my crisscross stitches. And then last but not least, I decided to add some blood between each of the stitches just for a little added texture and shine, and this is the Graftobian blood paste, and I'm using a pointed silicone brush to apply this. I decided to randomly kind of stipple the blood out in certain areas just to make it a little less uniform. And also, this blood does not dry, it stays a little bit sticky, so if you want to wear it out, I would recommend using a blood that does dry. You could use the homemade one that I used in the zombie if you would like, because that one does dry and it stays shiny. So I will leave that blog post linked below. Alright guys, so that'll do it for this one. I hope that you're enjoying all the videos so far. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, and if you want to share your recreations with me, please use the hashtag CourtneyLittleHalloween on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll see you guys next time.